In this review, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite mecha anime series. That's going to be Giant Gorg. This was a 26-episode TV anime series that aired in 1984. It was produced by Studio Sunrise and was directed by Yoshikazu Yasuhiko, who was involved in the creation of a lot of great anime projects, but is probably best known for being the character designer for Mobile Suit Gundam. He's also directed some great anime like Arion, which I've done a review on this channel, as well as Venus Wars and Crusher Joe. Giant Gorg opens up with our main character, Yu Tagami, traveling to New York in accordance with his father's will to meet up with one of his former students, a scientist named Dr. Wave. Before his death, Yu's father was studying an island called New Austral Island, which suddenly appeared in the distant future year of 1990 in the Pacific Ocean, about 2,000 kilometers from Samoa. Yu travels to New York to meet Dr. Wave to find out more about his father's death and why he was so obsessed with studying this island. When he arrives at the address that's given to him by his father, he meets Dr. Wave, a young scientist who's extremely obsessed with studying New Austral Island and discovering whatever secrets it holds. After New Austral Island's appearance 10 years prior, all information about the island had been suppressed by a corporation called Gale, which had taken over researching the island. Dr. Wave wants you to travel to the island with him so they can uncover the island's secrets firsthand together. At Dr. Wave's apartment, he also meets Dr. Wave's sister, a young girl named Doris, who becomes the main female protagonist and somewhat of a love interest for Yu. And along with their dog named Argus, this group of four makes up the group of main characters for the majority of the series. Shortly after meeting at Dr. Wave's apartment, the group is attacked by a group of people who are working for Gale. The group flees and tries to meet up with a friend of Dr. Wave, who Dr. Wave says can take them to New Austral Island. The group is nearly killed but is saved by this friend of Dr. Wave at the last second. This friend is a mysterious man only known as Sencho, which translates just to captain. No one really knows much about him, or anything about his past, or even what his true motivations are, but he's extremely capable, and anytime the group comes into trouble, he's there to find a way to save them. The first several episodes have the group trying to travel to New Austral Island, while members of Gale try to stop them. Another group also is introduced that also ends up getting in the way of our protagonists. This is an organization of people working under a woman named Lady Lynx, who has a connection from the past to the main antagonist from Gale's group. Her and her group are also trying to get to New Austral Island and trying to uncover the secrets and try to profit off of those. They meet with a lot of opposition from Gale, who has built up a base on New Austral Island and has their own private military that oversees the island. The operations of the island's base are controlled by a man who is the primary antagonist of the series, a man named Rod Balboa, who is the grandson of Gale's president. He will be the main antagonist for most of the series, and where many of the other bad guys from Gale are bumbling idiots who are easily foiled, Rod Balboa is consistently a very dangerous opponent who is able to think quickly on his feet and come up with crafty plans to get in our main protagonist group's way. Shortly after arriving on New Austral Island, our group of protagonists are attacked by a mechanical monster, and when all hope seems to be lost, they are saved by a giant humanoid robot who Yu ends up naming Gorg. Yu has a type of connection with Gorg that he can't explain that almost goes on to a telepathic level. Yu will use this connection with Gorg to have Gorg protect him and his friends from attacks from the mechanical monsters on the island, as well as Gale's military. Much of the series progresses with the group exploring the island and trying to survive attacks from the opposing groups. Somewhere about midway through the series, Gorg leads you to an alien base located deep underneath the island. There Yu meets the last remnant of an alien civilization, an alien named Manon, who reveals to you the secrets of New Austral Island. Manon is now the last surviving member of his civilization, one that he reveals that Yu has a distant ancestor from. This is why he has a connection to Gorg, who is just one of many mechs that civilization possessed. This civilization came from a dying planet to Earth with a whole army of mechs. This civilization underwent a cryogenic sleep for thousands of years in their underground base, waiting for humanity's civilization to develop to a more suitable level for them to interact with. But there was a problem with the cryogenic sleep chambers, and all of the civilization ended up dying off, except for Manon and one other alien, who ended up being Yu's distant ancestor. The technologies that this alien civilization possesses are what Gale is after, trying to take control of these technologies to gain more power. They attack Manon's base, and he decides that humanity can't be trusted, and he wants to use the army of mechs to destroy humanity. You and Gorg then have to take a stand against the many opposing groups of Gale, Lady Lynx, Manon, as well as foreign governments who are also trying to get a hold of these alien technologies and fight against them in order to save his friends and protect everyone. I think that Giant Gorg is a very underrated mecha anime. It's one that I don't hear mentioned all that often, but I think it has actually one of the best stories of almost any mecha anime that I've seen. I'm not really sure why the series wasn't more popular compared to other series like Gundam that had a bunch of different types of mechs to sell action figures for. Giant Gorg really just has Gorg, and it's much less focused on mech combat and fighting, and focused a little bit more on the human characters, so maybe that made it a little less popular with kids back in the day. I think the focus on the human cast was really refreshing in this series, especially for its time. After Neon Genesis Evangelion, it became really common for mecha anime to put a lot of focus on its human cast, but back in the 70s and 80s that really wasn't the case. This series has a pretty diverse and likable cast, all with surprisingly well-developed personalities and motivations that develop nicely throughout the series. And another thing that I loved about Giant Gorg when compared to other anime from that time period is just how well-paced the story is. The series really uses its 26 episode runtime very well. Right from episode 1, they dive right into the story and give you all the necessary background very quickly and start progressing the plot right away from there. And the story just keeps moving throughout the series. It never really hits a section that feels like it drags on too long and slows down the plot. It seemed like every episode something important was happening that was driving the story forward, and to me ended up being kind of the perfect length for a series like this. It's 26 episodes, kept it from dragging on for too long and kind of going through the standard monster of the week format that a lot of TV anime from the 70s and 80s kind of went through, where each episode comes up with a new monster to fight just for that week's episode, and everything's taken care of in that one episode and nothing really drives the overarching plot forward. I really appreciated that they didn't go with that route and really had a set story that was planned out from the start and carried out completely all the way to the end, even having a pretty satisfying conclusion, which unfortunately can sometimes be rare in anime. Giant Gorg is also very fun to watch. It has a really great sense of adventure, where the main character travels across the world to new places, and they explore an uncharted island trying to uncover its secrets. The animation is really solid with good action sequences. I like the design of Gorg, and his fights with the mechs on the island and against the Gale military are all very entertaining. Overall, I'm giving this one 4 stars out of 5. This is one of the best mecha anime that I've seen. Giant Gorg is a really well-paced, action-packed, fun adventure that I really think more people should try watching. That's going to do it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like the video and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.